Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the first full day of spring. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm wave meteorologist Brian Good. Welcome to the blog. All right, it's got quite a few in here, so we're ready to jam right into how this is going to play after the end of the week. As always, you can ask your questions on YouTube, Twitter, and on Facebook. But if you're on the streaming service, unfortunately, there's no interface for that. But that will be changing hopefully one day here soon. It's not our fault, but at least you have some way to reach us in case you need to for any questions on this blog update. And I got several that I've seen, and I will get back to those. So, if I forget, just keep asking, because sometimes I do forget. I am getting old, not as young as I used to be. So anyway, type them twice if you need to, and I'll try to get back to them, especially when it relates to what the topic is that I'm covering. Okay, so let me stop rambling and let's get right on to it. First off, on the outlooks from the Storm Prediction Center, we are not outlooked. I do think that will change once we extend another day out. At the moment, though, today is good, even though the radar is lighting up, and I'll explain more on that wave coming through. Tomorrow, we're fine. No problems there. Thursday, we're fine. In fact, Thursday could end up being a very active day as far as everyone being active outside. Windy, warm. Right now, the current thinking is 75 to 80 degrees for your Thursday. It's going to be windy. But the downside is what's going to happen right after that, of course, when we extend it out one more day, which we're about to do here in a second. So let's start with the beautiful setup today. Enjoy these pretty clouds, the mixture of the high, thin cirrus clouds and the blue sky overhead, because we do have a wave of thicker clouds moving our way and eventually rain. Right now, the rain showers, and these will be just rain showers. Look like they're going to move in, I would say, roughly in the 6 p.m. and after window for tonight. So you have until 6 to try to get as much as you can done outside today, because it actually will be a good day to do just that. I know it's chilly out there now, but these numbers are moving up as the day wears on, so instead of falling. So as long as you're out there working, actually it won't be too bad working in conditions like this. 36 in Louisville, 32 in Decorah, 37 E-Town. All right, here's the radar. Yeah, I know, it's showing snow. Come on away. It's not going to snow. It's mainly interpreting that because the temperature and dew point difference, especially back there to the west. But that is a wave of moisture that's actually aloft. It's not even reaching the ground. But it will once it gets closer to us. But at that point, it will be certainly in the form of rain as we continue to warm through the day. But it's very light moisture moving in. But the air, again, is so dry, it's eating away right at the leading edge of a lot of that. The main batch we're watching of this is back here into Missouri and Illinois and into Arkansas. And again, that's what's drifting eastbound for tonight. And it'll become broken up more on Thursday. I'm not sure we're going to get much rain at all Thursday or Wednesday. I'll get it right. But Wednesday will be cloudy, just broken areas of showers or spotty light rains that we're talking about for your Wednesday. But this is not the main show. All right. This is the baby that's moving off to the east. The main show is developing back into this area. Now, how it approaches is quite unique and also quite complex. I feel like I say that a lot, though. But these systems are in that kind of a pattern. So first off, we get into Thursday. Thursday is all about being south of the front. If you're south of the front, and a lot of you will be, we get to enjoy that 75 to 80 degree type of day. Gusty winds, yes, up to 40 miles per hour at times. All right, so the algae will be flying like crazy, or the pollen will, so the algae, you may be flying around as well, sneezing, but you get the idea. It's going to be a warm day, but I don't see much happening on the radar until this front moves to the south later into Thursday night. Now, this is very important. Are you paying attention? Type 1. Actually, type 12 if you're paying attention. That way, you guys are not just hitting 1 thinking that you're listening. I'm going to test you now. Type 12, so I know you're listening. Okay. This front will be sinking down as we head into Thursday night and early Friday. Now, what is important about this front is we refer to these fronts very often, especially in flooding scenarios, as train tracks, right? So this is the path that the moisture is going to want to flow along. And the train track is shifting to about Indiana, perhaps down to Louisville, maybe Bardstown, somewhere in that area, but it's going to be shifting south, but then it's going to stop. The reason why it's going to stop is there's a low pressure developing back in the southern plains that is going to be changing the atmosphere, basically trying to push in a warm flow back into the area. And that's going to try to fight against the front. And the front could even try to slide back north. That is certainly possible, but it will spend the majority of its time wherever it stalls. So we're thinking now, Thursday night, Friday morning, it stalls somewhere very close, if you were to, of course, draw out the Ohio River, somewhere in that zone of the Ohio. Once it does so, here's where the problem begins. Now we're going to get waves of rainfall that are going to be tracking right along, like little locomotives, one after another is going to use the train track. Obviously, those of you further to the south, you'll miss all of that. You may get very little in the way of rain, and same really for those of you far north. It's a fairly narrow sort of corridor, but unfortunately, it is aiming toward the Ohio River Valley. That's not good. We don't handle flooding very well around here. So there's the flow, continues into Friday morning. Friday's commute on Monday or on Friday could be quite messy. Certainly with that kind of a setup, it continues to flow through. Here we are, 4 in the afternoon on Friday, and it is still raining, and raining hard in many cases. But now we have the low pressure on the map. Now what it's trying to do, again, it tried to create its warm sector. So it's trying to create an idea for thunderstorms to try to feed in now in areas that haven't really been touched by that rain shield that's been along the tracks the whole time. And that's only a limited part of the area. If everything lines up the way it looks like, then that's only going to include those who south and east of the parkways, and it may be more closer to the Kentucky-Tennessee border. But it's going to be in the zone where you're mainly south of the constant rain band. That's the area to watch. You'll know where we're going to be, obviously, when we get to that day and you haven't seen much in the way of rainfall. You could be in that zone for sure. If you're getting a steady, heavy rain outside, you're good. The low moves more east. And now here we go. The low pressure movement through the area. Now, this is a typical, we talk a lot about the box being drawn. While that normally would be the case, especially even here for the American flag portion of the box, this is a little different only because this is not the first time the low is moving in and trying to create this. We've had nothing but hours of rain all ahead of it. So this scenario, while typically can be the one to really watch, is unlikely to live up to its full potential because we'll have relatively stable air. So that's good. But those to the south and east of that, of the flag and the stripes, may still be into a danger zone. It moves on by, stays windy, even into Saturday. Saturday looks quite windy, by the way. So the Storm Prediction Center already now, for the far out outlook has at least West Kentucky into the slight risk already drawn. I still think they're going to draw risk into Kentucky, but it'll be more like that. I think they'll have a very sharp edge to it on the northern side just because of the train track heavy rain event that's going to be going on. So it's got a limit to it. That's a very sharp limit on the northern side. So what does this all mean? Well, obviously, the concern is going to be for two things. Flash flooding in urban areas, the city of Louisville. Your smaller creeks and streams are going to rise quickly. If you have a creek in your backyard that rises rapidly, got to watch that. I mentioned Louisville. Again, all the smaller streams, hydroplaning on the interstates. This is the kind of scenario when we're talking about 4 inches of rain or higher that can fall during the day. That is going to really cause some problems. Okay, so if you're an area that is prone to flooding, has had run problems with that before, a basement that's leaking now and you haven't had a chance to get it fixed, you've got a couple days. The clock is ticking. The second issue is larger rivers that will begin to flood, which would include the East Fork of the White River, of course, in Indiana, the Muscatatuck. We've got the Ohio River that could rise. In fact, the latest in the Army Corps of Engineers, which they monitor all this, they have put out an outlook for what the river stages could be based on this forecast as it stands now, what the river stages could be as we head into the next 7 days, roughly the weekend and thereafter. Because again, smaller rivers and streams rise rapidly. Larger rivers rise slower because they're the ones that take in all the water from the smaller streams. So there's a bit of a delay that happens, and then the big rivers begin to rise. Where the rain falls is important too, and this rainfall would feed indeed into the Ohio River Basin. In fact, the upper and lower gauges are forecast to get into minor flood stage. That would include going into, the Belvedere area, the Great Lawn would be impacted, River Road would be impacted, Zorn Avenue would have some impacts, up and down the northeast part of the river on River Road, that area that always tends to flood not too far away from Captain's Quarters. There will be high water starting to rise there. You can see the Kentucky River getting into a moderate flood stage. Same for the East Fork of the White River. You don't see as many stages going as high, but even though the Salt River is showing up, the Rolling Fork is showing a flood stage there as well. These are just estimates based on the potential rainfall, but it does look like the placement of this would make sense that this would become an issue. So for that very reason, an alert day has been declared. And this is for the periods of heavy rain that we're going to be experiencing on Friday. It's going to be impacting the morning commute and the evening commute. So allow some extra time, take it slow out there today. And of course, smaller streams will begin to rise. Larger rivers will begin to go up as well. And we'll be monitoring areas south of this heavy rain band for any severe potential when that low gets closer, which will be later in the daytime period. So there you go. That's where we stand right now. Sorry, sorry, I didn't see the spammer. Sorry. Thanks, Kim. Appreciate it. I'm running a little slow today. All right. So what questions can I answer on this? I did see one from YouTube, from Anonymous on YouTube. Is there a chance of school cancellation on Thursday or Friday and widespread power outages? For flooding, unless there is an issue of a school being cut off from heavy rain or something like that, I don't think that's the case. I think most school buses and drivers are aware of what to do on routes that have high water and how to get around them. As a way so you don't drive through them, of course, but I'm sure there's always a backup plan in routes for heavy rain events. So I can't speak on their behalf, but that's different. Now, this is not a March 3rd event on the wind, and there will be wind. It's going to be up to 40 miles per hour, and it may stay windy all the way really into Saturday. You can get power outages with that. I'm not going to say you can't, but this is not a 70, 80 mile per hour wind event that we're talking about here. We do not have it. The amount of rain that we're going to have and cloud cover is going to help stabilize a lot of the wind field that's above our heads. So a lot of that wind won't be able to get because the version's kind of stacked over the area for the rain cold air, stable there. So that's good. It's a good question. Thank you, Anonymous. But it will not be a repeat of that event. This is a different scenario altogether, but it's a messier one. I know the tree cleanup was a mess, but flooding, I'm telling you guys, when you get flooding into your homes, your garages, your basements, it's just messy. It takes a long time. A lot of insurance battles and that kind of stuff. So we don't want any of that. I'm hoping it'll shift north, and it's worth mentioning. It could shift more. The train track could not drop all the way down to the Iowa River and stay just north of our counties. That is possible. But at the same time, if it doesn't, then that would increase the severe potential for Friday. We would be more into that American flag box zone, right? So there's not really a positive way to look at this one. You either get one or the other. I think most of us can handle the rain and hope the totals are lower than expected, and we get like an inch or two and that's it, and then we end up with stable air and we get through it just fine. That is possible. But hey, you know what? Right now, we're going with the cautionary step. The alert day's out to make sure you guys are aware of the situation, its potential, and stay close to the forecast. And we'll let you know if that's still the case with this or if we need to cancel it. And we love to cancel when alert days happen. But at this point, I think we need to get the alert out. Renee, hopefully I answer your question. Yes, it will be windy. Breezy more than anything, but there will be wind gusts. And I think Southern Kentucky will feature some of the higher wind gusts just because you'll be south of that rain band. Michelle, are we done with the freeze warnings? Well, we haven't had any yet issue because they haven't declared the growing season has begun. I think it has now. So if we were to get any more frost freeze potential, I do think alerts will be issued for that. Don't see anything right now in the longer range. This is going to be a fairly stormy pattern. We get back into more rain, by the way, Sunday and Monday of next week. So we don't get much of a break from the rain, which is not good. That's going to just keep the rivers going up and keep them from falling down. All right. Let's see. Wednesday and Thursday. I think Wednesday and Thursday. Okay, Todd. Again, Wednesday is going to be cloudy, a spotty shower, but I don't think it's going to be a bad day at all. And then Thursday is going to be a warm day. I want you guys to enjoy a warm day. We deserve one. It's been cold here lately. But yeah, just breezy at times or a strong wind gust in a few spots. But it's going to be an annoying kind of day. So we're going to be outside trying to enjoy 75 to 80 degree weather, but the wind's going to be constantly blowing things around. So, you know, even having dinner on the patio at your favorite restaurant, everyone's going to be like, what? What'd you say? I can't hear you. The wind's so strong, you know, that kind of thing. So, but there's positives. There's positives. If you want to get stuff done outside, warm weather will help you out. All right. Sherry, any rain today? Yes, we are expecting rain after 6 p.m. We'll be moving in. Timing on the storms Friday night, Nancy. Don't know that for sure yet. We got to figure out where the train track will be so we know what will happen next. But I do think it's a late afternoon into the night type of thing if it were to develop. And then it would head east. All right. So there we go. All right. I'm going to run. Get ready for, what am I getting ready for? Oh, yeah, midday. That's coming up in like an hour. So a lot to cover with that as well. I'll check out the latest data trends that are coming in right now, the new midday stuff. And we'll see if we need to make some adjustments. But that's where we stand for today, guys. Appreciate you watching. And I will see you all on the flip side.